Avengers, assemble. We're about to do some Beta
Today
U,
is an
Beta V
exciting
stuff.
day
Just
for our
cut off the
country,
team here.
and I want to begin by
Let that
thanking
go
Pat
on while
Gelsinger, the
we're doing
CEO
some
of
stuff for the
Intel,
Sharp City
and
Sharps.
Intel for making
Sharp
this
City stuff.
massive historic
Sharps
investment
training
in
different
American
from this
manufacturing
Sharps training.
right here in
Different
America.
this thing.
Now, from day one, President Biden has recognized and been clear that if we want to compete globally, we have
No.
to invest
Why
domestically.
GPT-3? You
And he's
sorry
prioritized
son
the
of a bitch.
revitalization of our manufacturing economy and given those of us on his
Apparently
team
everybody
a
got
crystal clear mission
diagrams.
to get those jobs
Super
back from
critical.
overseas to America.
To the type
And thanks to the president's leadership,
why
our
are you
economy
glitching?
added almost
Quick
6.5
glitch,
million jobs last year, the most in any year in U.S. history, and our unemployment rate dropped nearly 70%.
Well, apparently that's not
Make
working.
no mistake about it, by any measure, the United States economy is strong. But the fact is, car prices
Now,
are currently driving a third of
let us
inflation.
continue.
Why? Because we don't have enough chips. Last year, automakers made nearly 8
It's not just a
million
chip.
fewer cars
It's what
than
you're
they
doing to
could
program
have
them to do the
because of
thing.
the
They're going to a
semiconductor
specific
chip
place.
shortage.
They would have to be.
Electric vehicles, for which the president
Given
has
the
set an
line of
ambitious
the
goal, 50%
system of the
new
time
car sales by
frames,
the end of the decade,
Who's doing what?
require
When you
2,000
get into
chips.
what a
Each
Mallow
EV
review is,
requires
what camps you
2,000
lost,
chips,
no
more than
matter where
twice
it
as
is,
many as a
no matter
traditional
where it
vehicle.
is,
So that's why today's
inside of these
announcement from Intel is so
systems,
exciting.
you're going to get into
Semiconductors
airborne
produced right
training,
here
you're
in
going to get
America
into why
will
that
allow
police
us to shore up our
station,
supply
this
chains,
other system. I bring
down
this up
costs,
because without
keep
those things
manufacturing
firing on the
facilities
gear
up and running, and
forces that they
create
need to be running
American
on
jobs.
inside here,
But if we really want to end the chip
you
shortage
have
and ensure our global
issues.
competitiveness, there's more
This
to
is
do.
diversity, inclusion,
Today, our
and
semiconductor supply chain
ethnicity
is far too
inside of the
dependent
system
on conditions in countries
to what that
halfway around
manufacturing
the world.
timeline kind of correlates to.
COVID disruption, a typhoon, political instability
We're getting
in
to
another
it. We're getting to
country
the Mallow Cup
has the
factory.
potential
Whoever
to
is
shut
about to do
down an
any
auto facility and harm American
semiconductor,
families in places like Ohio.
mineral resource, timeline,
The
frame
semiconductor
rates.
industry was created in the United States of America, and it's time for us to lead again. Right now,
No, she's not going to give it to us.
Hey.
right now, there's a bill
Train your plants every day.
before Congress
Okay, so Master
that
Man.
would invest $52 billion in semiconductor production. Congress needs to pass that bill to revitalize America's domestic manufacturing.
Sometimes the 5 every
Passing
night,
that
right?
CHIPS
It
funding is
changes.
a win for workers, businesses, supply chains, and our economy. So again, Mr. President, thank you for your leadership, and thank you to Intel for choosing America. It's now my great pleasure to introduce Pat Gelsinger, the CEO of
Okay.
Getting glitchy, G.
Intel.
Well,
He's
that's
a
the
Get
thing
this
about
one in there.
global
Droid,
leader in
isn't
the
it?
semiconductor
Right
industry.
there.
He's been a
Bang,
leader in
G.
the industry for decades.
JP.
And the announcement he'll be making today will create nearly 12,000 jobs in total. And it's a perfect example of what we can do if we invest in America's
the Hadron
manufacturing
Collider?
industry again. So with that, I will turn it over to Pat.
What are they? There's definitely a black hole in the middle of that thing. What kind? Great question.
Thank you, Secretary Raimondo.
Okay.
Thank you, President. Thank you for my best Ohio friends and the senators. And
The
we look
splitting rock.
forward to being welcomed into
You know those
Ohio.
big,
I am
big,
thrilled to be at the White
big
House
ones you get out.
today.
Me and
Such an
Smitty get in
exciting
here and we get
occasion.
going.
Historic day for Intel.
Wait for the dozer to come in,
and,
load it in.
the global semiconductor industry. And for a farm boy from Pennsylvania, I thought I'd never
Yep,
be here.
Pennsylvania, right?
Today,
On Lou's
Intel's announcing
farm,
plans for an
his
initial
backyard,
investment of
tearing
more
it
than
up.
$20 billion to build 2 new
Sweetheart, Lou.
leading-edge
He's a good one.
fabs in Ohio.
See, told me
I
you
would
gotta
be remiss
move.
not to thank Governor DeWine and his team in Ohio for their fantastic partnership,
Mhm.
and I look forward to
It's a 3-pounder.
commemorating this special day together at our event in Licking County, Ohio, later today. This will be our first new manufacturing site in 40 years,
Mint press.
and spanning nearly 1,000
making a garden
acres will
path.
be a mega fab location that can accommodate a total of 8 chip factories, or fabs as we call them. What we're announcing today is the first 2, but we hope to build out that full campus. This initial
Muddy,
investment is
wet.
$20 billion, the
Early,
single
late
largest
late
private
fall.
sector
So
investment
the
in
dozer
Ohio
running through,
history,
of course,
and
and
we
picking
plan
this stuff
to
out of
continue
there.
to grow this presence. You know, at full build out, This site could grow to as much as $100 billion of total investment over the decade.
I know, right?
This
I'd get a
impact of
programmer.
mega
I'd
site
get you
like
programmer.
this is
I'm
simply
scared of them
profound.
sometimes.
The semiconductor
Because
factory
if you
is
could
not like other
GPT-3 me
factories. It's more like a
here,
small
you
city
would be
supporting a vibrant
God
community
in
of
the
services,
programmer
suppliers, and ancillary businesses. You can think about this as a magnet for the entire tech industry. And all of this is creating
part human,
new
part
jobs.
dozer.
And we plan to invest an additional $100 million over the next decade to help develop and attract a
I know,
pipeline of
straight edge right
skilled
there. So I'm
talent
gonna snap
and
that
bolster
thing off right
research
there.
programs throughout.
Anyway,
Okay. Okay. So
I'm getting to some of the points.
Throughout the region.
10 to
Intel's
the
investments will
38
help
iron,
meet
or 10 to the
unprecedented
78 iron,
demand for advanced semiconductors or
10,
chips as
10
they
to the
are called.
120th games of chess.
As every consumer in America now knows, we've seen disruptions in our supply chain globally. Many products are in back order, and Christmas trees were not nearly as full this year, simply
Grounding,
because the
housing.
industry
They talked
does
about
not
a
have
soldier
enough
getting
chips.
electrocuted in the
Our lives
shower on a
depend on them.
military base because
Ponder
of the
for a
grounding
moment
of
what
electrical,
portion of
whether
your
it be
life
lightning
is
or
now
otherwise,
becoming more
wasn't
digital.
squared. Back in the day. This
Our
one's
dependence, the criticality
the old
of
shaking hands of
semiconductors, the brains that are
danger and
powering critical industries,
mill lines.
education, business, medicine, work from home, learn from home, care from home,
Okay.
infrastructure, national security. All of these depend on chips. But as Secretary Raimondo said, most semiconductors today are sourced
Well,
overseas.
we all love
As a
concrete floor
country, we
pour.
cannot rely
But
solely
that's not
on
how it-
imports
I'll start with.
for
Oh.
such essential technology. And the only
Okay.
way to
We're getting
address
chips.
this
Okay.
economic and security risk is to increase our domestic semiconductor manufacturing capacity.
Well, the beauty on that
That's why
problem
last year
is
I announced a
there's a lot of
historic
numbers.
investment to expand our operations in Arizona and Mexico. And as the company who put silicon into Silicon Valley, and the company that is now the catalyst for the Silicon Heartland, Intel is committed to restoring end-to-end leadership, innovation, and manufacturing here in the U.S. We are doing our part, but we can't do it alone. The federal government has shown strong bipartisan support for growing this strategic industry. And I'd like to thank President Biden, Secretary Raimondo, and everybody involved in this supporting the semiconductor industry. And I would also like to thank Senator Schumer,
Some of them
Warren,
things.
and Representatives Matsui and McCall for sponsoring the Chips for America Act. But as Secretary Raimondo said,
now that's
now
the marketing,
Congress needs
and
to
I love
finish
it.
the job.
Obviously, in this
Our
one, you
announcement
haven't
today
seen the line you're
is
looking for. I
motivated by
bet.
the CHIPS Act. We're putting our chips on the table, as I like to say. We are getting started, but this project will be bigger and faster with the CHIPS Act. The CHIPS Act will help address the long-term impacts of the semiconductor shortage.
I'm
global
getting some
supply
of the good
chain
ones they put
challenges,
out where I
and
was
associated
learning,
rising
minding my
costs
bits.
faced by American families today. It will also ensure America maintains its leadership role in semiconductor manufacturing and R&D. We welcome the opportunity to work with President Biden,
Well, isn't it
federal and
though?
state governments
should
to
be. Why
transform
wouldn't
the
it?
turmoil of this time into a recovery that creates world-changing technology to improve the life of every person on the planet. I thank you, and it's now my honor, my pleasure, and
We're
something
getting
a
there.
farm kid from
We're getting
Pennsylvania
there.
would have never imagined, that I get to introduce the President of the United States. Mr. President.
Golden them there, Hill.
Thank you. Well, you've introduced a kid from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I didn't think it either, so it's great to be with you. Pat, thanks for the introduction, and this is a truly historic investment in America, in American workers.
We're
This
getting
group
there.
of Washington reporters
You
have heard me
gems.
say many times, it's never been a good bet to bet against America. We are the most qualified folks in the world here in the United States of America. And I want to thank Sherrod Brown and Rob Portman, two senators who deserve an enormous amount of credit for us getting to this place right now, bipartisanly. the idea that we can work
Of course,
together
is
is
not just.
only just
They're
beginning to
very
dawn on
different.
people here.
No.
And I want to thank Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo,
Keep
who
moving.
from day one has been helping lead our efforts to strengthen American manufacturing in America and American
True.
innovation.
Word, PowerPoint, Excel.
Pat just laid out today's big announcement
Here we go.
by one of America's most important companies.
This has to do
It's
with home
historic
printing
investment for
PCB
Ohio,
boards.
one
This
of
this
the
is a good
largest
machinery set
investment
right
in
here.
semiconductor manufacturing in American history.
Did a great test on it.
A brand
that
new
does some things.
$20 billion
But in the
campus
terms of
outside of Columbus, Ohio.
semiconductors,
7,000
where you might
construction
be
jobs,
industrial to
3,000
this
full-time jobs. And I was kidding
HV
Pat earlier, I said, "I may
generator,
need the
or
job." And
who's
he
doing
said,
what
"Well,
with
it's not bad.
overclocking
It's
stuff.
$100,000.
The
I'm
reality
fine.
on this,
Training.
this is a semiconductor.
Look,
A copper, silver,
look,
gold, any
singular-
compositions of such, black silica on
be
Venus,
able to say, made in Ohio, made in America.
mass drivers,
But we
man.
used to always be able to say 25, 30 years ago. That's what this is about. But folks at home might be
You know what's
wondering
in here right here?
why
Danger.
it's such a
That's
big
what's in there.
deal for manufacturing something so small, the size of a postage stamp. Why is that so important? Well, semiconductors are small computer chips that power virtually everything.
Nah, I
in
give
our
you the
lives.
game. I
Your
give
phone,
you that
Your
there's points
car,
to
your
having things.
refrigerator,
Certainly
your washing
effects.
machine, hospital equipment, the internet, the electric grid, and so much more. And here's the deal: America invented these chips. America invented these chips.
Well, not only this, it was the
Federal research
industrial,
and development led to the
American
creation
Industrial
of these
Revolutionary
chips.
model.
Taxpayer dollars.
Bernoulli.
These chips help power NASA.
Einstein.
to the
Hey, what
moon.
do you got? We all doing
Federal
at a
investment helped bring down the
minimum
cost of
hydrogen
making
wave
chips
function,
to
right?
build a market and an entire industry. As a result, over 30 years ago, America had about 40% of global production. But since that time, something happened. American manufacturing,
Right?
the backbone of our economy, got hollowed out. Companies moved
Whatever you're
jobs
about
and
to put
production
into it. We
overseas,
could talk
especially
about
from
Ben Eater here in a minute in the
industrial Midwest.
555-888 MOS Raspberry
invest
Pi,
2%
or anything you
of our
could put
gross domestic
in
product in research and development.
Mythbusters
Said again,
test car range,
we
or
invested
Tesla as
2%
well, unloading it
decades
on
ago
a
of our gross
Volkswagen you
domestic
bought
product
to
in
pick out the
pure
pieces,
research and
or the
development.
demo.
Today, it's less than 1%.
You know what this
We were ranked number 1 in the world in R&D. But guess what? We now rank number 9. China was number 8 in the world 3 decades ago.
semiconductor. Now, this is
Now
loose.
they're number 2.
This is loose.
And other
Right?
countries are closing
I'm
in
obviously
fast.
all
As a
over the
result,
road with this
today,
thing.
We barely produce 10%
But it's a
of the
breadboard
computer chips
essentially,
despite being the
and
leader in
those
chip design
PCB
and
boards. And if I had to
We
go
don't
grab
have
my
the ability
SP
make the most
order,
advanced
NP
chips
order,
right now.
M order,
Today, 75% of
G code,
production
M
takes
code
place in East
variances on wiring this
90% of the
thing
most
together.
advanced
I still
chips
need the
are made in
photoelectric
Taiwan.
effect of the
China
thing
is
doing
doing
I need
everything
it to do.
it can to take
Otherwise-
over the global market, so they can try to outcompete the rest of us and have a lot of applications, including military applications. Folks, look, during this pandemic, your
Damn star.
pocketbook felt the consequences: inflation, higher prices.
This
Whenever a
this
factory
is
shuts
people
down in one part
nuking
of the
Mars
world,
and terraforming Venus.
production and shipments of goods to
Kyrgyzstan
shops and homes and
doing
business all over the
now.
world gets disrupted.
Obviously,
COVID-19 has
Planet.
compounded that problem.
cone shields
times over,
and the
especially with
effect
these
of
computer chips.
terraforming it, let alone the
As a
Dyson
result,
sphere, crazy.
Everything from cars
And we-
to dishwashers.
This
are delayed
operator's going to
getting
have the
showrooms and
bandwidth.
Customers, just as demand for them is up because the economy is growing, and because supply
Society.
is low.
Good,
Because
happy.
supply is low, we find
Meat
ourselves in a
grinder.
position
Automatic,
that we're
automatic
really behind the
2021.
curve.
Nah.
Prices are going up. In fact, 1/3 of the recent price increases
Not saying
have
that's
been
the way it
seen
is.
nationally
Not saying
are
that's
due
not the way
to
it is.
car prices, as mentioned earlier. You know, I'm going to turn to the boss here. What percentage of chips are needed to build the cars today, and what's going to happen in the next 5-10 years?
4% today, 20% by 2030.
20%.
This is
by 2030
making this glide with
is
this
gonna be required
to get this effect.
to-
What's this?
That's
That's the
what
top of your head
car's made
view,
of.
right? Clearly.
20% of it.
Carrot
from these
top.
computer chips.
But
Historic as
essentially,
today's
I'm looking at it
announcement
from the pipes and the
We need
collision.
to
Something
be-
comes
this is
back
just the
on it. I can
beginning.
look at it from the side
This
and I
is
can
an
say, well,
important
all
part
the
of today's
straight
message.
bits, the close
Right now,
accuracy
there's a
to
bill in front
the.
of the United States
Yes,
Congress
that is
because the
yes.
two men behind
And
me
this
are
little bit
pushing
on Zoom right there.
the U.S. Innovation and Competition Act, which includes several of the ideas I proposed last year that would accelerate
Well,
the progress. in a
I'm
big
not just
way.
using it.
The bill calls for
I'm using a few
authorizing
different
nearly
ways,
$90
honestly.
billion for research and development, manufacturing, and supply chain. Look, including empowering the National Science Foundation to bring together local communities, universities, community college, private companies, and more partnerships like this. And by the way, speaking of community colleges, you all know this, the Washington Press Corps does at least. My wife is a community college professor. She said it's the best kept secret in America. This is a
Tell me
community
that.
college
All right,
graduate.
well,
who
almost
skipped
time to
his
go.
Senior year in high school, went to local community college, and then
Just,
went on.
go ahead and leave it at that.